Yo, 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 what's good, guys? What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Magma Minds podcast. I'm your boy, Fonda Villain. To my right this time, on the same couch, we got the homie Toast. What's up, man?
Hey everyone, it's me, Lag. So grateful to be here. I'm even more grateful for the guest we have on today.
Jeez.
She is a psychologist, a therapist, a dear friend to many, an MMA fighter,
Holy.
but most excitingly now, an expecting mother.
Hey.
We got Cayla Bear in the building. Shout out to everyone.
Welcome to the
How
pod,
you doing?
Kayla.
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. I'm excited to be here.
Nice.
First podcast.
And we're
ever,
excited to
so,
have you.
Yeah.
Six.
First podcast.
Yeah. So hopefully I don't
What?
mess it up too bad.
Shoot. First
Nice.
podcast. We got her being the mom and everything.
Yeah.
This is a solid start.
We're going to do it right.
We're gonna do it right. I appreciate that intro, Toast. We love to see it. Again, just to keep it casual, we're just chatting. We're just catching up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to know her better. She's gonna try to get to know me. I hope. Lack and Kayla, you guys go way back, so I'm gonna let you. How long have you guys known each other?
Yeah, so we met in 2019.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure as up to date. And we met at our old MMA gym called American Elite. And one of our first interaction was hilarious. So
Yeah,
we'll dive right into
tell
that.
me about it. Tell me about it.
I remember specifically it was Muay Thai day and we were doing clinch work, but on that day for some reason we were doing it with no gloves, and it was Kayla's it's like your second month in, right?
Yeah.
It was early.
If that, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know the long fingernail rule yet.
Yeah.
And that plays a part in the rest
Okay,
of the
veteran.
story.
Yeah, so we were doing clinch work for Muay Thai day, and we were kind of rotate partners. And when we got to, it was my turn to go to Kayla. We were doing it, and I just felt the we call it Cayla Bear for a reason.
Whoa.
Now, the
Cayla
biggest
Bear is
scratch on my
nuts.
neck. And I was like, what the fuck? I turned to one of our mutual friend, Will. I was like, these bitches gonna cut their nails, man.
Oh fuck!
But then-
It was like
Oh,
a scratch like this
shit.
long.
Bro.
Like, it was
Holy, you
bad.
clawed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
But then later that night, while Kayla was hanging out with someone from the gym, he sent me a Snapchat of Kayla, and I was like, and then immediately I swiped up and I replied, and I was like, that bitch scratched my neck. And then
The animosity.
Kayla's reply was, tell Ling I said sorry.
Yo,
Bro.
nah, that's dirty.
Bro.
I knew it started with an L.
Yo, tell Lee.
Straight to Ling.
Yo,
And then my so-called friends sold me out.
that's nuts. No, yeah, he set you up for
Yeah,
sure.
he instantly told Lack what I called him.
Oh,
It's
man.
Oh,
I was
no.
sitting there looking at my neck fuming. I was like, this bitch is racist too.
Like, yo, it's only to get better.
But yeah, ever since
Oh, that's
then,
nuts.
that's been my bestie for the rest of the year. We have so much fun training together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I asked you about your necklace,
Oh,
and I was like, trying to be cool and like cultural and stuff. I was like,
Cultural.
do you study? What did I say?
Buddhism.
Buddhism.
Yo,
Bro.
nah. Caleb's-
I was like, all right. It's going to be a teaching moment, or we got to throw hands now.
Yeah, I was like, this kid's never gonna be my
Yo, I'm about to
friend.
say, this is after the scratch too? Oh, nah.
I was trying to redeem myself.
Fuck, I would
Nope.
have taken it personal. Like, damn.
Oh my god, I forgot about that too.
Oh, that's
Jeez.
Buddhism.
Buddhism is wild.
Buddhism is
I thought about that
nuts.
for years. I still think about it sometimes. Like, what if that was an actual study? The study of Buddhists. Like, man.
Oh, wait, that's actually crazy. But shout out to Will too. Yes, you have to get him. We were saying we need to get him on the podcast.
He'll be here within the next
next few weeks, maybe.
Yeah, next few weeks.
Hopefully,
Mhm.
hopefully. Was this the same neck? The big tusk? Was it that?
No, it's
Or
that
just
one.
this one?
It's,
This
it's
one.
literally
Okay,
that
okay,
one
okay.
is right now. It like
Yeah.
Okay.
flashback.
Dang.
Like, oh no.
Flashback
Oh,
to
that's so messed
Buddhism.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that is fair. How many years did you guys do that for? At that gym? Was it up to you?
I was there from 2018 to 2021. Was
Yeah?
when they moved.
Wow.
I think it's when it divided. So I was there from like February 2019
Yeah.
to, I can't remember the month, like some summer month.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, a whole bunch of
Oh my
stuff
god.
went down, and
Yeah.
gym separated. And
Wait, I think you were
Yeah.
telling me, is this the one with your, what's it called?
Yeah, the
Your
coach, the
yeah,
coach being
that was doing some
wild.
ball shit.
yeah,
Coach being
yeah.
Yes, yes. You
It was
told me.
so crazy because like that being my first gym and like some of like not talking shit about anyone who's there. Like I know
Yeah.
people like repented and did whatever they needed to do to fix themselves or whatever.
Repented.
But that environment, I thought that was like normal, and now I'm in a gym that's like not toxic, and I'm
Oof.
like, where's the tea?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
where's
Where's
the
the
drama?
tea?
Like
Mhm.
Everyone comes in, goes home, and it's
I thought
like,
it was I thought it was normal too. It's like that was my entry.
yeah,
That was
Yeah.
my
yeah.
entry. So
oh shoot.
that's just like watching everyone like interact. I was like, okay, or like the relationship, the dynamic. I was like,
Yeah.
you know,
This
like
is-
I was trying to rationalize that one, but I was like, yeah, this
Ooh.
sport is very touchy. You know, like
So
and
it
it's very
does.
it's a very intimate sport, and not in the way that's sexual, but like you're
Yeah.
you know you're
You're
training with
grappling
somebody
and
every
everything.
day, and then it's like if you do it long enough, it's only a core group of people that shows up.
Yeah.
You know, you like because the turnover rate for is so high.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
imagine. You guys see a lot of fucking
Yeah.
different people all the time that want to start, and then after that
Yeah.
they fall off, and it's just like, yeah,
And I was really blessed because when the gym did separate, the current MMA team, we all got together and we decided like wherever we go, like we go together. And
oh,
like
okay, that's
still,
sick.
Scrap pack.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, the
sick.
scrap pack, which I posted that. I did like hashtag scrap pack on like some Instagram post, and I got so many haters in the comments
Dang.
because
No
there's
way.
like other scrap packs
Oh.
out there, and I was like, it's a
Yeah.
hashtag.
Let me
like,
have this.
where's
Like,
the-
let me join. Like, let me
Yeah.
join
It's
the
like, yo, come
movement.
find out.
Just-
Like, yo,
Come
pull
find out
up,
it's right.
pull up if you want it.
I have 2 followers. Like, who cares? Like,
Oh man.
The internet,
yeah.
the internet being the internet. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still really all like close knit. It's a family
Yeah.
at this point.
That's fun. That's fun. I don't think I would ever get into MMA. Boxing is
Boxing,
the
yeah.
only, yeah. That's the only like real combat sport that I would get into.
Yeah.
Don't know when I'll have the time to do it now, but I'm just like, yo, we'll find out. Fair. So now that we've gotten some history, some background out the way, give us your background. Let the people know who Cayla is,
Yeah.
and just go ahead and share. Share what you want to share.
So I'm from Oklahoma.
Mhm.
I was basically born and raised in Norman. That's where I graduated from. That's where I did the majority of my school.
Nice.
Well, I did college at UCO. That's where I got
Oh,
my bachelor's
sick.
and my master's degree.
See?
I got 2 brothers. I have a twin brother, which is pretty cool, and then I have an older brother. Trying to think what else I do. MMA. I do jujitsu.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm a mental health therapist.
And she's a mental health therapist, talking to the peoples of all demographics, you were saying.
Yeah, community
Yeah.
mental health, because we get so many people,
Mm-hmm.
we don't really have the luxury of being like, oh, I only want to see this
Yeah,
population. I
that's
have
fair.
my favorites and my least favorites, but
And did you always do that in Norman? Did you always know you wanted to do that just in Oklahoma? Was there like a location discrepancy when you were getting out of that?
so the hard part with like getting your degree in
Mhm.
Oklahoma is like everywhere the licensing board is very picky choosy. Like my license in Oklahoma, I can't
Okay.
practice outside of Oklahoma. That is
Fair.
a benefit of getting a PhD. You can become a clinical
Ooh.
psychologist, and I believe their license covers everywhere. But just master's level LPC is my certificate or whatever, or my
Yeah.
licensing. And it just covers Oklahoma. Like even if I travel, I can't see people
Fair.
like virtually.
So if you wanted to practice in another
Somewhere
state,
else.
do you have to take a test, or what's the?
It depends. Because I was looking, my twin brother lives in Florida, and occasionally I like to dream of living in the tropical areas. So I looked it up, and I think there's like 2 different classes I would have to like take,
Oh,
but they're
wow,
like short
really?
classes, and then another test on top of that.
Oh,
That doesn't sound too bad.
No.
doesn't sound
Yeah.
crazy, but still going back and taking classes. It's like,
Yeah.
I wish you would have just made it an entry test for the state. It's like, yo, just come take the licensing exam here.
That reminds me of like like you're a lawyer, you have to take the bar in every state you're
Yeah.
practicing, pretty
Yeah.
much.
That's
But-
I think so after you graduate, and this is
Mhm.
in any state, you have to go under supervision for a certain amount of hours. In Oklahoma, it's 3,000. And I think because I
Jeez.
completed that, and I'm a grown-up therapist now.
yeah, big girl
Big girl
therapist.
therapist. I think it is easier. I wouldn't have to go back under supervision.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
How long did it take to complete the 3,000 hours of supervision?
Took me about 2 years.
2 years.
I will say my
wow.
first
That's a
6
good chunk of
months.
time.
That is a lot of time.
Yeah, it would have taken less, but my first 6 months didn't count.
What?
Damn.
I'll be so
I'll be
Yeah,
sick.
It's my own fault. So my imposter syndrome is so bad.
Yeah.
When I first started practicing for that 6 months, one of the requirements is you have to let your supervisor observe one of your sessions. And my imposter syndrome was so bad. I was like, no, there's no way. Like, I'm not gonna let her listen to this. Like, not at all. Like, maybe she'll just forget about it. She did, but the state board did not.
Yo.
And so they were like, oh, we can't approve. I think I had
Jeez.
like 600 hours.
So in that entirety, like you didn't have any instructor, no one just listening. Oh man.
Yeah. So I would like staff people with her, like ask
Yeah.
for advice and everything like that. And she would remind me like, hey, don't forget
By
to
the
get
way.
your observation. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I just wouldn't do it.
Just back to
Just
work.
wouldn't.
How many glasses of wine did you have after you found out it didn't count?
Yo,
How many
6
bottles?
months is
Yeah,
tough,
more like
bro.
bottles. Yeah, I was like, God. But also still my anxiety was still pretty bad. So I was like, you know, it will happen when it will happen. I have 5 years to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's whatever.
Right.
At my new job, because I was working a more private practice setting when I
Okay.
first got it. But then when I switched to my new agency, it's like salary pay, and I got a pay raise
Oh,
whenever
okay.
I became
Solid.
like a fully licensed
Big girl,
therapist.
big girl. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I was like, okay, maybe it is worth
Yeah.
like putting in these observations and getting fully licensed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's sick. So, did you know you always wanted to be a therapist? Like, did you always?
No, actually, my whole life I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
And then my senior year of high school. So from like 7th grade to about sophomore year, my mom was in like an unhealthy marriage with my stepdad and stuff. And like, so I had a bunch of strong feelings, but being young and like it was still back when mental health wasn't really talked about or anything like that, I was like, I felt very alone and isolated. I had a good set of friends and that helped me. But then taking psychology in my senior year, I was like, when we started going through like what depression was, I was like, holy
Dude.
shit. Like,
Dude, this fits the puzzle.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense. And it like started making everything seem a little bit better because I understood myself better.
Okay.
I kind of went into it with the mindset of like, I want to help people not feel so alone in the world too, by like helping them understand how their brain works and letting them know like it doesn't make them broken. It's just how they're experiencing life.
Fair. Oh man, I was gonna say that's really nice. A big switch from you can't talk to animals. So if I'm like, do we want to be a vet and then talking to people? It's like, yo, it was like you would have been literally in there just grooming and doing everything else. But no. That's inspiring though. I enjoy the fact that you're like, because you experienced it, you're like, I know this feeling. I think we've mentioned something like that on the podcast before too. When it's like when we were growing up, we had like our own like personal experiences, and either if it's not being shunned out, it's like being looked at differently, and it's just like understanding that feeling for yourself. You're like, I don't want any other like kid, especially nowadays, to go through that in the world of social media and all the things that we live in, right?
Yeah.
So
And I'm happy that you found it early on, like your calling, because you know something we also did talk about too was going to college and not knowing what you want to do.
not knowing
Yeah.
at all.
What you want to be. So
And that's so common now. Like,
It
because I
is.
work in Stillwater, I get a lot of OSU
nice.
students and stuff like that, and no one knows what they want to do. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's fine. There's no race. There's no
Yeah,
race.
exactly. It's not a race.
You'll figure it out. Like, enjoy life now.
yeah, there's definitely that pressure to finish what you started though, because
Yeah.
student loans and you're like what
Yeah.
50K in debt, and you're just
Like,
there's
not-
no backing out now.
Yeah.
It's very hard to.
Yeah.
It's more like fuck it, I'll finish this and I'll figure it out after.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
But
but
to be fair, the longer you're in school, the longer you wait till you have to pay those student loans. So just be in school the rest of your life until you die,
Just keep
and you'll never
going.
have to pay them.
damn.
Just keep, you heard
that's
that here
financial aid
first.
from Cayla Checorski.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. Insert
Crack the
the
code.
higher brain.
That's big brain in it.
Yo, crack the
Shit.
code. Just stay in school.
Stay in school.
Stay in
Instead
school.
of not.
Damn.
Just
Take what?
stay.
Like what? I think you have to be full time. So
Yeah.
that's like
Oh, you
15
have to be full
Yeah, I
time.
think it's just what 12,
13.
15 hours.
12, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Just take
Cut
an art
hours.
class. pick theater. I don't
Can you
know.
imagine leaving school with like 10 fucking degrees?
Because you just been
Your brain walking across the stage is like the cap's not been fitting on.
Yo, everything. They'll have to call your name. Your name is like under all the, because they're like, okay,
Yeah.
arts and science, or like science and arts and
Bro,
like
making that walk
literature.
10 times would be crazy.
Shakespeare,
Like,
man, is still
yeah.
walking. It's like, yo,
Yeah,
theater.
the bad guy, the villain from the Green Lantern, when I don't know if y'all remember that, but he literally, his brain just got, I'll
I'll have to find it.
Yeah, but that's
No.
that's gonna be so funny.
That's an interesting hack. But yeah, definitely a lot of people now for sure don't know what the hell they want to do
Yeah.
in school. And it's just like, dude, either you don't go or you go forever.
Yeah,
You'll
but
figure it out.
I like the idea that it's okay to like also like if I'm like I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like this is just what I'm doing now
Right.
in my life, like what I find joy out of and what I'm passionate about now.
Okay.
But 20 years from now I might have something else I want to
That you
do.
wanna-
Like there's no cap to what you can do, and I think a lot of people get in
Yeah,
that mindset
gems.
like I have to pick something now, like I'm going to be stuck in it, like what if I hate it
Mhm.
and everything like that. So there's definitely nothing wrong with switching majors, switching career choices,
Mhm.
nothing, because I mean it's your life, you get to pick
Yeah.
what you do that makes you happy.
Facts.
Wow.
I know. I like that a lot. And honestly, when you think about it too, people that do go into like that one profession and then just have it like solidify their entire character, it's kind
Yeah.
of sad because you're just like, oh, this is all I like. I'm always sure, even if you always wanted to be that, it's like this is all you end up being for the rest of your life. And there's just so much more, you know. That's why
Yeah.
whenever me and Lack were talking, I was just like, dude, I can't just do the doctor thing and then have that become like my identity. I'm like, I want to do it to help people. I feel good when I help people and like all the great things that come with it. But at the same time, I don't want it to just be my identity. I don't want it to define me for who I am. Like there's so many other things I love doing. There's so many like passions and stuff that I have. I'm just like, I need to, like, it can never just, I don't want to keep myself in that bubble. Hence the podcast with the boy.
Yeah.
But no, that's funny because that's it's also something I was gonna ask you as well, was how you view yourself now that you've gotten into therapy versus before, like learning through experience. How do you view yourself now? What do you think is different?
Yeah, a lot has changed. Like even just the amount of like personal growth that you have, or growth that you have to do to be a therapist. Like you have to make sure, like you have to be very self-aware of like all your biases, ignorances in certain areas. Like when I asked Lack for advice,
bootyism. Imagine a patient. Sorry to cut you off. Imagine a patient. She has a necklace on.
So I've never said Buddhism in my practice at all, because I'm not going to make that mistake.
Definitely,
anyway.
Fair.
But yeah, it's a very big growing process, and it's a lot of it is remembering that you also are human. That's the hardest thing. Like whenever I was going through my master's program, I personally was in like a toxic relationship, and it turned me kind of toxic. And I became like a villain in my own narrative kind of thing. And so then I was in this kind of existential crisis where I'm like, I don't even like myself. How am I going to help other people? And so I was like, okay, well, if this is what I'm passionate about, like I need to take the time to fix myself before I try to fix people. And I was like, I will say COVID was healthy for me because it forced me to be alone with myself and be my own friend. And so like if I'm going to be stuck with someone, I better like them, because I didn't have any roommates or anything. I lived alone. It's me and my dog. And then it helped me get into that mental state where I'm like, okay, like I can do this. Like I trust myself now. I'm developing like into who I want to be, and it's okay if I fall short because I'm also human. And that has followed me into my practice too, because there's going to be sessions where you look back on and you're like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Like, oh no. And then like you go back the next time meeting with them and you're like, hey, like I said this last time, like it might have been construed wrong, and this is what I actually meant. And I'm sorry if you took it wrong. So it's definitely made me able to see my downfalls, but not see them as downfalls, see them as like learning lessons.
Okay. No, I like that.
I hope that answered your question.
No,
I feel like that was really
very
long-winded.
no. That was a very good answer.
Just going off of that, I I just want to ask a question I kind of wrote down.
Yeah.
But so off of that, can you share like a particularly rewarding experience you've had with a client
Yeah.
while keeping confidentiality?
Yeah, HIPAA and everything like that. I have one, and I still work with them and everything like that, so I'll be very vague on like.
Yeah.
But they have what's called borderline personality disorder, and it's kind of like blacklisted
Yeah.
in all of psychology. Like therapists hate working with them. I particularly love working with them. They're some of my favorite clients because they just view things so differently because of like the traumas they've been through and everything. And this client, when I first got her, she was constantly like in the crisis center, like constantly suicidal and everything like that. And then now I'm watching her take on these really big struggles in life.
Wow.
And she's like naming out the things that she's doing. She's like, oh yeah, I catastrophize this. She's like, I am spiraling. Like I need to focus on my coping skills and everything. So just to see that whole complete 180, it's like, wow, because like I know people in the past have kind of given up on her. And it just shows like what consistency with someone and like believing in someone can do. And now she functions pretty well.
Oh man.
So for people that who are
Don't know.
don't know what it is, can you just kind of go into what
borderline
is?
So borderline personality disorder, it's, I guess the best way to describe it is it's all of the different types of thinking errors you can think of. So catastrophizing things, which is like experiencing like this is the worst thing could ever happen, and like spiraling down where like if this happens, like this horrible thing's gonna happen. That black and white thinking where it's like all or nothing, like I'm either going to get this job or I'm going to be poor the rest of my life. Like there's no in between, just extremes. They have really bad abandonment issues because typically that's what their trauma's around. So they have really bad trust issues. One moment they'll be your best friend, the next for their own protection they'll push you away. You're the worst person in the world, kind of thing. So there's a lot of times some pushback with that, like if I don't text back in a certain amount of time, all of a sudden I'm the enemy, which is something that like I work through because I try to have really good work boundaries, just to keep myself sane. So I don't do any like text therapy. Like I'll say, like if they send me a novel, I'll be like, we'll focus on this in our next session and leave it at that. And at first there's a lot of pushback because they see that as like I'm abandoning them, I'm giving up on them. So abandonment issues, suicidality is huge in that population because it's like they have turned that into a coping skill. It's their first instinct, a lot of self-harm. And whether that's because they haven't been listened to their whole life and they've been abandoned and given up on, where they feel like they have to go to that extreme in order to just get someone to listen. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's a complex thing, but it's mainly like a bunch of just the way they think.
Yeah.
It's just a little off.
It sounds very tough. I was gonna say because I've studied that, but hearing your experience in it, I'm like, wow, that must be amazing. One, props to you for being able to be that person for her or him or them, to help them get through that and deal with it. Because I can only imagine, like, again, with borderline, the trust aspect and having that consistency in someone could be very, very daunting. So props to you for being able to be that person for them. We definitely need more.
So
go ahead.
I feel like with people that struggle with borderline, you probably encounter a lot of resistance to therapy. So how do you tackle that as a therapist?
And so whenever I feel resistance or anything, I'm very open about it. I'll just be flat out about it. I'll be like, I'm sensing resistance, like let's talk about that. To really like look into, well, why are they? Because every behavior has a reason behind it. And so looking into that and seeing what I can do to make them feel more comfortable, to help build that trust, like building rapport is key with them.
Wow. So that being said, something that I wanted to ask was, and I guess you could also take that example and see how you would manage this. How does telehealth versus in person? I know you guys were just talking about this earlier, I think. How does telehealth versus in person like affect you and when in the way that you would work? How do you how do you navigate that?
Yeah. So whenever I first started therapy, when I was
Mm-hmm.
in a more like private practice setting, I didn't do any telehealth. I just did in person. And so switching to my new job, and I had a little experience in it with COVID when I was doing my practicum or internship. But it is a lot different and it takes a lot to get used to because like when you're in person with someone, there's more cues that you can look at. You can look at their body language. You can see how they're sitting. You can see if their like leg is shaking or if they're getting anxious just from the physical cues. Um, while meeting through the iPads that we have,
Mm-hmm.
I just see here up, and
Literally.
actually half the time I just see people's foreheads.
The FaceTime
Yeah.
The FaceTime angle is
the
crazy.
FaceTime angle just-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Forehead
a lot
or
of
ceiling.
foreheads, sometimes ceilings,
Oy.
just whatever. Sometimes I get taken on tours around the house because they're talking and walking.
Fine.
Yeah.
Oy.
So you have to like really tune into like what they're saying and how they're saying it more versus just being able to look at the body language. But once people get used to it, and I'm used to it now too, you don't really notice the difference.
Fair. Fair.
Yeah. So in an earlier answer, you said that building rapport is very important. So you as a therapist, how do you approach that? How do you like? Is there something that you do to build rapport with your clients and patients? Um, and I mean, if I can just ask, like, I was gonna ask, like, how does that? How is it harder on telehealth versus in person? But you know,
So how I build rapport. So I'm like a really like relaxed therapist. Like I don't use the fancy like jargon and everything like that. I kind of see where my clients at and I meet them there. So I'm not going to use any words that like they've never heard of or anything. I find ways to explain what I'm talking about. But also I'm straightforward with them and I tell them to like be open with me and I'll be open with them. Now that being said, if they ask me like super personal questions, I don't go into that. Like I'm very like professional with how much I disclose and how much I don't. And it's just a judgment on what's going to be helpful information. But I ask them like what type of therapist they need. Like, do they need like a hand holding one? Do they need someone more direct and stuff? I do warn them that I am more direct, but I'll hold your hand through it. Like, I'm not going to reward bad behavior or validate bad behavior, but I will help show you the better way. And so I'm just open and honest with them and I ask them what they need from me. And we just kind of go from there. I start out with kind of like even like easy topics like, well, what brings you in? And then they tell me and then like I'll pick up on something and be like, well, tell me more about that and just get them open and like comfortable and stuff. I personally don't ever pry. Like if I can see them uncomfortable about something like right at first, I'm not going to be like, well, tell me about it. Like I'll wait. And then when we build that rapport, then I'll be like, okay, I see you're resistant about this. Like, let's talk about it. Yeah.
have you always been? Because I know you outside of work, and you're one of the sweetest person. So have you always just been direct, or did you start out hand holding,
And then it didn't work.
and then
Yeah.
it just kind of like, okay, they're not listening to me. I gotta be more direct.
Fair.
So I guess I was lucky because before I became a therapist, I was a case manager.
Okay.
And in that job, you do a lot of hand holding, and it gets really tight. Like you get burnt out, like constantly like doing things for people, and that was kind of where I was also like starting to fall short because like what I wasn't realizing is if I'm doing all the work for them, they're not going to get better. They got to learn to do it themselves. And so I had a professor, I think my last year of college, say never work harder than your client. And at first I was like, oh, man, that sounds kind of fucked up. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, no, because they have to be the ones to do the work. I can't. I'm only with them an hour a day. I can't be there making them do all these life-changing events. Like they have to find the motivation within them to do it. Probably when I first started out, when I was a little wobbly on my feet, I was probably more hand-holdy than I should have been. But within the last couple of years, I've really grown into my role and my position, and I've been a lot more stern with it.
Oh,
Naturally.
that's awesome. Yeah.
That's pretty
So
sweet.
how do you? That kind of segues into my next question too. So how do you manage your own mental health in such a demanding profession?
Yeah.
Mentally demanding profession.
So that's hard. The first thing I would say to anyone who wants to be a therapist or any kind of mental health field or even doctors, have your own therapist, because like at the end of the day, like we hear so much stuff and we just have to like hold on to it because we can't tell people
can't share.
Yeah.
Fair.
And so it's nice to have someone that you can say it to. I mean, obviously still keeping HIPAA, but if like some stories stick with you a little bit more than others. But me personally, I try to keep work with work, and home with home, and that's like key as well. But also making sure I'm doing coping skills, and I kind of have like a controversial idea of coping skills, but I think an even balance of both positive and healthy ones mixed with some like maybe not so healthy ones, but like
Take a
ones,
little risk.
yeah, like not
grappling
ones that
extra
are gonna,
hard in the
like,
gym. He's like choking them out. They're like, "Yo, Cayla gotta relax today."
like not ones that are gonna destroy your life or
Yeah.
anything like that. But like me personally, before I got pregnant, one of my favorite things to do on like a Saturday night was just to go out dancing with my best friend, like have a couple drinks, just let loose, like because during my day and everything, I have such a tight hold on everything. I'm helping people, like
Yeah.
helping take care of their life, taking care of my own life and everything. So for me, it's just nice to have a few hours to just let loose.
Wow.
But
Fair.
obviously, that can't be something you do every night or
Right,
like
right.
Yeah.
every weekend.
Mhm.
So occasionally giving into an unhealthy coping skill. Occasionally, if you're having a bad day, eat that piece of chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Like have the ice
Or to
cream.
have the whole
pieces.
cake.
Yeah.
Wait.
Three
I mean, the
pieces.
whole cake.
As long as like it's in moderation, you have that
Yeah.
balance with the healthy coping skill. Like healthy coping, like go outside. That does so much for people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just being out in the sun.
Mhm.
Take care of yourself. Eat a good diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because gut health is really related to mental health.
Yeah.
So to keep myself sane, I participate in both healthy and slightly
Stuff.
unhealthy coping skills. It does look a lot different now that I am pregnant.
Yeah.
That was a big adjustment
Right.
because now I can't, like my main coping skill was rolling hard in jiu-jitsu or sparring.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously I can't do that. I can't go out and drink anymore. So,
Jeez.
so rediscovering old things that I used to do has been fun, like that I used to do when I was younger before I knew about martial arts and before I was of age to drink. So I've gotten into like reading again, and that's
Yeah.
been really cool.
That's so important. Like
Yeah.
just finding that balance in life, and I think we touched on it a little bit earlier of like how some people are just dead set on what they need to do from too early on and just fixate on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think like one of the problems is like early in life, before you hit adulthood, your life is divided into so many stages. But then there's only adulthood, and like
Yeah.
to look at it in just that one singular plane, I think it's so. It limits you to
Definitely.
just that plane, really. Like, because
Yeah.
when I'm younger, I'm changing professions
Yeah.
constantly.
Every
One day I'm a
day.
police officer, the next day I might be an astronaut.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But like, yeah, I think it's very important to find that balance in life.
Definitely. And healthy coping skills, I can
Yeah.
also appreciate that is because before I thought like I was actually looking at one of the episodes we just did and we're talking about like how I was gaming and I never used to touch grass. To me it was like that's my stress relief.
Yeah.
But I was doing it to the point where it became like a vice. And literally I wasn't going outside. I wasn't
Yeah.
socializing with friends. And and moderation is key. What do you
Yeah,
say?
because it can be a very
Yeah.
fine line. And especially, so I say that one of my coping skills is going out and dancing, having a couple of drinks. But I make sure in order to keep that healthy, like I'm checking in with myself, like making sure I'm not drinking because I'm sad.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make it 10 times worse. I'm going to be in the club crying.
After
crying.
2 shots. Just
Yeah.
bawling.
No one wants that. So just doing check-ins with yourself and seeing like, okay, what do I need to do today that's going to make me feel better? And going off of that.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
feel actually better. Something that came up in my mind when you were going on was how does and if you're comfortable talking about it, how does this affect your partnership? How do you express some of these things to your partner? I mean, I imagine he's part of your therapeutic relief, but go on.
Sometimes.
She's like, or maybe,
Or is the
I need
other
some
way.
more therapy because of
Or I'm calling my therapist because of him.
No,
Fair.
I love my husband and
Yeah.
he's great, but we're both very stubborn people.
Okay.
And so communication is different between us, and I do have to like check myself. Especially because sometimes I'm not as supportive as I want to be towards him because I spend all day like because community mental health, like some days I'm seeing like 8 people a day, like going through like crisis after crisis.
Jeez.
And so I'm a little burnt out and not as empathetic as I want to be. So sometimes he will like come to me for support and I'll be a little bit colder. And then like I'll reflect on it like later. And then I'll go back and apologize. Be like, I'm sorry I wasn't what you needed me to be in that moment.
Yeah.
And also I have to make sure that I'm not trying to therapeutize him.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Was like, how often do you hear him talking, and you're just like, well,
Yeah. And like one of the hardest things, for example, so, and this will probably embarrass him, but it is what it is.
leave a comment. Tell us how you feel.
He doesn't handle stress well at all.
Okay.
He catastrophizes. All of a sudden, one little thing will turn into our life is like I gotta pick up like a 3rd job because we're homeless at this point. Like it goes 0 to nothing so fast. And like for me, and like what helps me and what helps my clients is like looking at the more logical side of things. And like if it's out of your control, don't put too much energy into it because you can't control it. So you're wasting that space instead of like look at the things that you can control in that moment. And when I was saying that, he took it as me not supporting him because what he was looking for in the moment, which I won't validate because I don't think it's healthy either. But he wanted me to be equally amped up as him.
Oh,
Like, he
yeah.
wanted me to just be
Let's
like, oh my
both-
God, yeah, I'm
You
stressed
took us like
too.
you didn't really
You're
care.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But he took me looking at the logical side of it as like me not caring or me like saying that it wasn't a big deal. Me not. So like now in the future, I know to like first validate and be like, oh my God, that
Like
is
freak out with
Yeah.
him for
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
for a
No
little
way.
bit. Yeah.
Oh no, what are we gonna eat?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have a solution now. Yeah.
That's fair. Okay, I like
so
that plan.
validate, stress out a little
Yeah.
bit, but then bring it back in.
Yeah.
I love that
before it
you
gets too
learn.
crazy.
To like.
Yeah, marriage is hard. It takes a lot of personal learning. It takes a lot of you can't have a lot of ego or pride in it, and that was one of them. I was single for a really really long time.
For a reason.
Probably.
Nice.
I was just doing my own thing, and the only person I really had to look out for was
It's
myself.
yourself.
Yeah.
And so now adding a whole nother human who also like grew up with strong views on things and like sometimes they clash. And so it takes a lot of like communication, but also like I'm glad that I do have the skills I do because I'm able to like look back on my behavior and be like, okay, how could I have worded that different?
It does show a lot of personal growth. I was gonna ask, how much heat does your dog get? Because the dog can't talk back, so he's probably catching strays left and right. Just
You gotta send us a picture of your dog so we can toss it up too.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
yeah,
what was
I
it?
have
Alaska
Malamute, and then I rescued a Dalmatian last summer.
Oh wow.
And he's like my soulmate in dog form. My husband gets really mad when I say that. He's like, I thought I was.
Being jealous
It's
of a dog is
crazy. Oh man.
But I've always wanted a Dalmatian like my whole life.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Humane Society to actually look at cats. Not to get a cat, just play with the kitty cats.
Okay.
And I walked back to the dog portion, and there was a Dalmatian, and we made eye contact, and I was like, he's mine.
He picked you
I'm
too.
taking him home. Yeah.
That's pretty
That's
sick.
lovely.
I want to get a dog. was thinking I was saying
Yeah,
this.
you-
Yeah, I want to
you
get
were
a
just
I want to
telling me
get a
that the other
corgi.
day.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to get a corgi.
my brother
Nice
has corgis. Two
Yeah.
corgis, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
They're
need to
pretty
get
cute.
one. It's off of my inspiration was just one of my favorite animes. There's like a dog in it and it's a corgi.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just
What
the
anime was
most
it?
opposite Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
I think they made a Netflix series about it or something. I haven't watched it, but Ein is a little corgi named Ein, and he's just the most like nonchalant character, just doing whatever he wants in the midst
Yeah.
of like all this gunfire and all this stuff. And I'm just like, that's
It's
my
a corporate
guy.
personality, though.
Yeah, like I want that.
My fight name that was given to me was the War Corgi.
The war
Yeah.
corgi.
Yo.
That's kind of tough.
Because I have, compared to my height, my
Mhm.
arms are short.
Bro,
The reach is crazy.
one time
Short.
Art measured my reach, and I was like, how am I reaching anything?
Oh yeah, reach is mad long.
Bro, what? I can't even reach an agreement with somebody if I really wanted to. Like, look how short they are.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm 5'7", and like your
Okay.
reach is supposed to be like your height or more.
Yeah.
I have a reach of 5'3".
Yeah, my reach
Dang.
was
Yeah.
about 5'32".
Yeah.
That shit
Oh,
was-
Yours?
what?
Oh, I guess we're like the same height.
Are we?
She was like, yo,
Are we
that was a shot.
I'm gonna have to go back to back.
Strays.
And I know her spine's compressed right now
Guess
because the
we
baby
about
weight.
the same height. Facts.
I just accidentally
funny.
insult you all the time.
I guess we're like this.
Oh shit.
That's funny. Okay, fair. That being said, I think this is a great time to move on to the next segment.
Yeah.
Recently started, recently introduced. We've done 2 of these. The first time we did 4 cards, which was way too much. We're like, yo, this will be fun. Like, we could just
Yeah.
talk about this for like 10 minutes. Ended up being an entire episode. So we narrowed it down to 2, and now we narrowed it down to 1. So, so that just tells you this game gets deep. For people that don't know, Toast, you want to do the honors? Let the people
Yeah.
know what's up with
Little
Bold.
intro.
Yeah.
Name of the game is called Bold, and it's basically 3 categories of cards: connection, reflection, and perception. And they exactly what it sounds like. So the cards just have a prompt, and you kind of answer it. The connection one, you tend to play between both people, and I mean, all the cards you can kind of play between both 2 people. But we just been kind of going off of the perception and reflection. That's just so that it's like more in depth.
More in depth, and in depth it is indeed, as Cayla will find out shortly, because she's gonna kick it off. She's gonna read the card for us. I think she has a reflection card, because it's the black one. So it has usually they have 2 questions. What does it
Yeah, I
have?
was
1 or
gonna
2?
ask.
It has 2.
2.
Cool. So you're gonna read both. Read the first one. You want to start with her answering? There we go.
Yeah, and we'll just.
Okay.
Cayla will start it off.
So what things did you love about your younger self and wish you could get back? Ooh, that one's.
Yeah, we tried to warn you.
Trying to text a therapist, right?
Yo,
Oh, you gotta bring out the inner child now.
telling you.
Yeah, younger me, I would say just like my imagination. Like I feel like I had such a big imagination, and I could like I don't know, like my possibilities were endless
Yeah.
and stuff. And I feel like as you become an adult, like no matter how hard you try, like imagination is kind of squeezed out of you. And like what you said before, like you get put on a path and like expectations of you, and so you stop kind of believing in yourself in a way. Like you can have all the confidence in your role, but you're still like, oh, but I'll only go here.
Yeah.
But younger me, I thought I was going to be like a pop star, like
Okay.
a veterinarian. Like possibilities were endless.
Yeah,
Oh.
still are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still are.
Let's
I'll
drop
do
an
that.
album next week.
Just drop 'em out.
These same mics. We gonna drop an album.
You can find my mixtape on Spotify.
And SoundCloud first. I don't know. You reaching a little too hard.
Everybody keep an eye out
That
for
little
War
5'3" reach.
Corgi. War Corgi just dropping a new track. Okay. Fair. Imagination is deep. Yeah. I like that one.
Yeah. And then what's the?
Oh.
So
Second.
should we just do one question and then
And then,
wrack around for the second?
Wrap around for
Okay,
the second one.
cool.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it like that. And so I guess I'll go next. Imagination
have a
was
choice.
a good one. Choice. Imagination was a good one. Damn. Time.
Oh,
The younger
yeah,
me,
that's
like
good.
the younger me's perception of time. Like for some reason, the days lasted longer.
Yeah.
The days lasted so long. I got to do whatever I wanted. I was playing video games for hours, and I was like, I just felt like I could do like one full day. By the time it hits evening, from morning to evening, I do so much more. And I don't know if it wraps back because my imagination was so vast, and it's like I was just completing tasks left and right, playing the homework was done. I was outside playing. I would get back, play video games, eat, hang out, watch anime. I'm like, how am I doing all of this in one day? Now it feels like we have 6 hours in the day.
You gotta plan the whole day to do one activity.
To do one thing. I'm just like, oh my, what's happening?
I gotta take a nap halfway through
Yo.
6 hours.
It's tragic. It's so terrible. And what's funny is I don't even wake up early anymore, so that's already half the day gone. Still, I'm just like, bro. I'm like, damn. Man. But yeah, for me, it's like, I guess the perception of time.
Okay.
Because it's the same 24 hours, but just as the younger me just had so much more time, at least in my head I did. And I wish that was the case right now because it's going by way too fast.
Yeah.
Way too fast. So, perception of time.
That's a good one too. I like the time. I feel like I don't got time nowadays.
I really thought I didn't have to go last.
Yeah. Every time I look in the mirror now, it's just like a new gray hair. I'm like, my time is running low.
It's going out.
Them telomeres are shortening.
Telomeres, right? Oh shoot,
man. If I could get back something of my younger self, I guess that would be my perception of myself. Yeah. When I was younger, I felt like kind of what you said. I could be anything and be anybody, and it was limitless, like truly limitless. And now, after I moved here to the States and got hit with all kinds of like even just like something like imposter syndrome, I feel like I struggled with that for a while, and I still do. It's hard for me to find joy in a lot of things now, just because like I critique myself so much to the point where like even if I get a dub, even if I win, I immediately look at it like I could do better. I could be better or do better or change something to have even a better outcome than just winning. And I felt like I was a lot happier. I mean, that's just how I was. I feel like for a lot of people, I had a great childhood before I moved here, and then I would even say I had a good childhood here. But even though it was good, it was a lot of energy and mental went into learning to be a child here versus just being a child.
Fair.
So I just now in the past like few years feel like I'm grown up to the point where like I can enjoy things. I can like do things for myself and like look at it in a way that's like I didn't need to earn that. I could just I'm just doing it because it feels good.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to get it back, and I think it's working. So yeah, that would just be my answer.
Okay.
Good answer.
No, that was a solid
answer. I didn't know
answer.
how you were gonna top us, but I think
I know, your imagination was already crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm competitive too. I picked on purpose. I did good.
Let me self-critique a little.
Oh my gosh, fair. That was a good one. I like that first question.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what's the second one?
So question number 2 is which of your traits do you value the most? I would probably say, and this comes with pros and cons, but I'm really good at seeing good in anybody. Cons because some people don't deserve to
terrible people
to be seen as good, but I would much rather be positive than like turn against people and hate them. So.
Okay. Fair. Did that stem from anything? Like, did you just always saw good in everyone, or did that come up just?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been like I've never really. I think maybe there's one person in my life where I could say that like I almost hated them. But for the most part, I've been able to, and maybe this is from like my studies and stuff, because I don't know when I started justifying people's behaviors and like realizing like, oh, they're not a bad person. This is just how they're trying to survive and get by, and this is how they learn to do it.
Fair.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever really thought of anyone as, I mean, obviously there's evil people out in the world, but anyone in my immediate like circle or people I've interacted with, I've never been like that person's evil.
Fair. Okay. That's interesting. What was it one more time?
Which of your traits do you value the most?
Traits. I think I've mentioned this before, but I would say my ability to adapt, just because growing up in Cameroon, like growing up here and in Cameroon, two different lifestyles, right? Like two different worlds. Like really, it's so hard to imagine like not growing up there and then trying to empathize with people that lived in that kind of scenario. So my ability to adapt, because I went to Cameroon. I was born here, went to Cameroon when I was really little. Can't even remember the age. Um, and just living that lifestyle there and then coming back in around second grade, I think. I was like, the world is really different over here. I was like, what's going on? And the entire time we were away, like we were staying with my aunt and uncle. So even my like relationship with my own parents was just, I feel like the affection wasn't as much. Like we were raised with them, and I kind of got used to it over time, but it just felt a little different because I'd been away from them at such a young age. And then living life here and then going back again for middle school, it's just like every major stage in my life, whenever like I was hitting puberty or just getting to learn something new about myself, I was getting placed in a completely different environment where I was a new kid again. And I was just like, here I was a new kid because I just came from Cameroon and I went back, and then there it's like, oh, the little American new kid, whatever. So I feel like that made me learn how to adapt very quickly, because obviously no one just wants to, well, some people like standing out, but when you're younger, it's just you want to fit in. You want to fit in so that way you could make friends easier. Like everything is just sort of facilitated. And I think that's one trait that sort of stuck with me now is any environment I move to, I adapt relatively quickly. So
Yeah.
for me, that's kind of it's kind of my trait that I would say.
I feel like that's very true for you too. Just like because watching you move around to so many different places recently. Well, I mean, when I say recently, it's been the past like 5 years.
Yeah.
You always make a lot of friends. You immediately find a new spot, a new coffee spot to go to or something. And man, I think it's that's very accurate.
Thanks.
A valuable, important. What was it?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I missed it too.
Which of your traits do you value the most?
Which of your traits?
Also a double-edged sword. I feel like just because like it can be applied to the wrong people, but my ability to care for people. I even if I had just met somebody for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I develop like a sense of not attachment, but it's a sense of curiosity to always want to learn more about that person. And if you're in my life already, I would do anything for you, that type of thing. The on the other end of that is kind of like I have given that to the wrong people, and even in relationships that were toxic, I care too much and I stay too long. So that's kind of like my struggle with that. I am better at it now that I've filtered out a lot of bad people in my life, and the people I had in my life now I'm so grateful for. And but yeah, I think it's just my ability to care is what I value the most, because it teach me a lot about myself too. And I felt like I did reach a crossroad to where I was like, should I just keep doing like that and just keep caring about anyone I meet, or should I just say fuck everybody and like let them just kind of earn it? And I just kind of made a decision to go with just care, and then if someone show you why that you shouldn't care, then you let them go. And I think I've done more positive things with that than if I had chosen the other way around. Just because now, like, having interacted with a lot of people and like befriending a lot of people, sometimes it's nice to like get a text like 2 years later after I'm not talking to somebody, and they're like, hey, it's so and so, haven't talked to you in a while, but thanks for like helping me getting through this part of my life or something. And like it's like moments like that I really hang on to, and it makes me not question why I do it anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Makes all like the bad experiences with it worth it.
Yeah. And like the bad experience, I feel like if I don't see them as too bad, if I don't see them as something that like changes my character, it's a learning experience, and I can look at it like, okay, like this person did this and this. If I see these same expressions or like these same characteristics manifest in someone else, I'll pick it up quicker, and that person cut off quicker, rather than just kind of like being scared to care for somebody. I think that's, to me, is more heavy on my mind than just like being more free about it.
And I can appreciate that about you. I think I mentioned this one time when we were just over here hanging out or something, and I was saying that, you know, the way you present your character is also very, I think because you care so much, it makes you memorable. Like there's so many people in my life that I think I've introduced you to and that you've met that are always like, oh, but how is Lack doing? Like this, and it's always like family, distant friends, relatives, everyone, and it just goes to show that the amount of effort that you're putting in makes you just that much more memorable to other people, which I think is just such a good trait to have as well. Because I feel like for myself, I used to be very passive and room full of new people, whatever it is, just kind of go about my way, mind my business, and not really care, as you mentioned. And I can only imagine now, like you said, getting those messages years later, and it's like you were really there for me at a time when to you maybe you just naturally care for people that way, so it was just probably another thing that you were doing, but it really does impact people in another way, like in another light. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that a lot, man. I mean, everyone you introduced me to has been
It's all the homies.
I've hung on to every one of them, you know. So
yeah, it's all the people.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. What'd you think, Cayla? What'd you think about the cards?
I liked them.
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
them.
You gotta play with the right people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I tried playing it with one of my someone that I talked to recently.
It's like
And
that.
at all, especially the connection cards.
Yeah.
Careful with those.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, maybe this won't work.
Yeah. Fair
Something
enough.
that crossed my mind before I forget is I
Mhm.
want to ask you. So how does oh my god.
This
Give me-
happens to
give
me
me
all the
one- give
time,
me one
so
second.
thankfully it's happening to Lack.
Yeah.
It happens to me too. I'll be in like a middle of a sentence with
Mhm.
a client,
Yeah.
and I'll be like,
Just lose it.
I'm sure what I was about to say was very impactful.
This would have changed
You
your
thought you
life.
got the mic drop, and then you lost the mic.
I was like, but now both you and me are lost. So sorry.
We're
Like,
both
well,
looking around
time's
for help.
almost up.
And that's it for the session today.
And I think your card declined today, so you gotta go. Card declining. Those memes kills me. Like when you're when you had your therapy, you had therapy, and your card declined, your therapist just started roasting you.
One person was like, the dude walked in and just started talking. He's like, whoa. He put like the Apple Pay thing. He's like, ding. He's like, all right, go ahead.
Next, you should put the tip screen. Next time you're done with the session,
Tip screen.
How was your
Like,
service?
ding.
Service is crazy.
That's funny. But yeah.
Okay. So I found the question. So can you share some insights on the connection between physical health and mental health?
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Because you're a very, very active individual.
Yeah.
You know, you MMA fighter, and the therapist. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of research out there
Yeah.
that shows. And it was really cool. I went to a training on cognitive behavioral therapy for chronic health. And it showed a lot of the connection. But basically, like, just think about, like, the days that you're, like, sick. You don't feel good. You have to stay in bed all day. Like, mentally, you also aren't doing good. You're like, oh, man, this sucks. Like, I feel shitty. My brain feels shitty. It's just all connected. And so, like, and that's in those cases. But whenever we're actively choosing not to take care of ourselves, it's almost in return actively choosing not to take care of your mental health. But when we're physically healthy, we're eating right, we're working out, we feel good, and it's not even about aesthetics or anything like that. Like sometimes, I don't know, I like to look good.
Little vain.
I feel better when I look good.
Yeah,
same.
of course.
Everybody.
I'm trying to get 10. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But yeah, like just being able to accomplish things like at the gym, like a new PR, or I went on this 2-mile hike and I barely got
Small
tired.
wins.
It's like the small victories that keeping up with your physical health helps you accomplish. But then you're building your confidence. All of that is natural dopamine producers, like working out and everything like that. So there's evidence that it's helping. And then when it comes to like gut health and everything like that, like eating healthy, eating things more to fuel your body and your brain, especially. A lot of times people forget that the brain is also an organ or not an organ, but a muscle and an organ.
An
I mean,
organ.
it is an organ.
Tomato, tomato.
Right. But you have to give it the right type of fuel in order for it to be successful. And So that is like eating like a lot of protein. Not that like sugars and stuff, like you can't, I'm not saying you can't ever have that. Like again, it goes all about balance. Like if you're craving chocolate cake, eat the chocolate, a slice of it. This is where the moderation becomes
heard it here
less,
first.
3
less
pieces.
than a
You
whole
see that
cake.
chocolate cake?
Big back
Eat it.
activities.
Both
Big
hands
back
in.
activities.
Just dig into that. No, but like, I mean, sugar, if it's like too much of it, like you crash. Like you have that spurt of energy and then you crash and you don't feel good when you crash. Or like if you eat too much like junk food, like you feel bloated, you feel gross, like you have no energy and you just feel sluggish. And so in turn, like mentally you don't feel motivated. I know feeling bloated, you feel more self-conscious, like you don't feel comfortable just sitting. And so they go hand in hand with each other. Now there's a bunch of research on like dyes in food and how they affect mental health.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like TED Talks. Like I watched one where it was like a mom and she was talking about how like her son would have certain types of mental health, like whether it was like outbursts or something because of one color dye. Depression was caused by another color dye. Yeah.
Wow. I gotta look that up later. I was writing it down, but
yeah. I don't know it well enough to adequately, but there's a bunch of TED Talks out there.
Yeah. So like mental health has been I won't say going viral, but like it's been getting a lot more attention recently in the last couple of years, just because of COVID and this the huge spike in depression and anxiety from people not being home. So what are some misconceptions about therapy that are out there that you think is like important to address?
Yeah. A lot of times people think that you have to be in the lowest of lows to go to therapy.
Okay.
And that's not true. You can be in the lowest of low. Like, we'll accept you. Come on, let us help you out. But maintenance therapy is equally important because as life is, like, things happen to us, and sometimes we cope with them better than others. And so it's nice to have someone there that's keeping us accountable, making sure that we are doing what we need to do. So therapy is for anyone, and everyone can benefit from it. Trying to think of other misconceptions. Mental health, it doesn't mean that you're broken in any way. It just means that you're experiencing life a little bit different. I will say, to kind of like be more controversial, I guess, mental health becoming more like mainstream, and like that's awesome. Like I'm glad people are getting help now and they're not afraid to. But there is backlash on it too. Like you're seeing more people use it as like a crutch and as like excuses when, I mean, mental health is a real thing and it does make life more difficult. But you have to like kind of own up to it, do what you need to do in order to make your life livable, because it's not just going to go away.
Right. No, I appreciate that. I think I resonate with the first point you made for sure, where you don't have to be in the lowest of lows. I personally haven't started going to therapy. I was actually looking into starting soon, but my main thing is I've been moving around too much, and I don't want that barrier because I've seen how it affects some people, especially, I think I was mentioning before I did child and adolescent psych, whenever I did psychiatry, and I've seen how moving around and having like different therapists early on can affect you. So I was just like, if I want to get into it, I don't want that to be my first experience, it's to start and then have to move, and then it's all right, cool, I'll just go to another state, do it. But I was saying that to say, I think for the longest time I was like, I haven't hit like the therapy threshold yet. Like I haven't hit the point where I felt so down or so broken to need therapy, which I think is just obviously like completely wrongful thinking. Like now that I understand it more, I'm just like, maybe I should have done this years ago. Like maybe I needed to do this years ago.
I feel like I hit like the opposite point.
Really?
I was like, I need it so bad. I don't want to go to it now. That like, how long am I gonna be in therapy for? How long? The type of time I have now, I don't know if I got that type of time. But all jokes aside, it's more. I mean, my mental health is the most important thing. But I feel like I did reach the point where I was like, God damn, bro, if I'm beast, they're gonna they're gonna drain me. I don't have energy like for anything
To
else.
do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of
Fair.
people are afraid if they come in, like they'll get like locked up or
Mm.
whatever. And
Oh,
it's-
that's my fear.
yeah, but like I know, like me personally, and like my agency, we have protocols where inpatient's not our first line of defense unless they are like actively like I'm gonna go home and kill myself kind of thing. But we have other things that we intervene with, and so some therapists are really like understanding about those like suicidal thoughts, and they are uncomfortable to talk about, but it is something that a lot of people experience, and they're afraid to talk about it. But a lot of times they are just like fleeting, and it's important to get them out and to talk about them. Another misconception is that like if you have a therapist, you're stuck with them. Like, no, you're definitely 100% allowed to fire your therapist. If it's not a good match, it's not a good match, and you need to switch to someone who's gonna better suit you and your needs.
Have you ever had to fire a patient?
Not for any other reason, just that they aren't showing up to their appointments. But I've never had.
It's that good, huh?
I've been fired.
Yeah, I know.
Clients have
Really?
fired me before.
Really?
Because like I've been too young.
Okay.
Now, because I do a lot of telehealth, some of the older generations don't like that, and so they'll fire me to find someone who does too. I got fired.
It's out of your control, really.
Yeah. My favorite was one time I got fired.
Favorite time getting fired is crazy.
You have to learn not to take it personally.
Yeah.
Because they're doing what's best for them.
Yeah.
But this one client, I have a team underneath me. I have a care coordinator and a peer support specialist underneath me at my agency, and they were telling Olivia, my care coordinator, I think I want a new therapist. Cayla's trying to get me to do all these things, and I know I need to do them, but I just am not going to do them.
Okay.
Like,
I'm not going to do it.
Okay, man. Like, I was like,
I'm coming here to get her.
No sweat off my back.
Oh, that's funny.
So and that just like she wasn't ready for that type of therapy yet, and that's completely fine. So
she came here for professional advice. She's like, that's a lot of advice.
That might be me.
She's like, damn, that's all I gotta. I gotta do all of this.
I gotta touch grass.
Yeah, because we were doing behavioral activation, which that's a fancy word of like, hey, you have to force yourself to do this stuff. Like your depression is telling you not to do this, so you need to do it. In a more supportive way, of course.
Yeah.
I don't just tell people like, just
your depression tell you not to eat that cake.
Yeah.
Eat that cake. Hope you're dreaming about the cake.
Oh man.
Last few things I just wanted to mention. Anything you want to leave with the people as far as advice? I feel like you've been giving so much already, but just anything you want to leave the people with.
I guess kind of just a sum of everything. Like, I guess the biggest thing is knowing how much control you actually have in your life. Like, yes, there are things outside of ourselves that we don't have any control over. And it's so easy to get caught up on those and try to force all our energy to those things. But in reality, like what we have control over is how we're reacting to those. And we can choose to react in a healthy way and a productive way, as I like to say, or there's non-productive ways in doing it. And so knowing that even in bad situations, you have control over some things. And it might be the little things, but those are the stepping stones to get out of the big situation.
Yeah. Fair. That's a gem. I needed that a few months ago when I was smashing my phone. But
control
See?
the
And
control.
that's all productive behavior.
Yeah.
Hey, new phone though. New phone upgrade.
So maybe it was better.
Man, let me have an episode
Fair.
too.
Let me have an episode. It's crazy. Let me wild out a little bit. Toast, anything?
Yeah. At the time of filming this, it is June, so it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. You know, like I've said on our Instagram, every year we lose 600,000 men to suicide because of mental health issues. So, and then, you know, as men, it's very hard for us to kind of just even admit that we have issues. So starting there and seeking the right help and talking to the right people, and not just talking to somebody just to talk to somebody, but talking to somebody with intention to being better and feeling better, and taking care of yourself. I think is very, very important. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Love that. Yeah, because even for me, it's like bringing up again. I wasn't, just so side tangent, wasn't really with my family too open or affectionate about certain things, so I never really was trained or got to talk to people or like understand how to talk to like my guy friends or my dad or like things like that. So it's definitely a first step to sit down and like just be open. Yeah. Right, to sit down, especially having this platform, which I think we've said time and time again, has just been such a good outlet for us to just talk to each other as guys. And we just hope that maybe you guys see that out there and you want to sit down with your people, or you can sit down and leave it in the comments. We're gonna need you to leave some comments. You can leave it in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know how you're feeling. Kayla's gonna answer all your questions.
Yeah. When this episode's released, we're gonna give her the link, and she's gonna be just
it's all your questions. If you want to throw hands too, if you want to throw hands too.
But don't be surprised. Yeah, don't be surprised when you open your DM.
Up.
Yeah, right. You get caught up and get some racial slurs thrown your way.
Yeah, everything.
If she answers your question, you open your DM, you see a little tip screen. Don't be afraid to click that 25%.
I'm about to say, facts. You're gonna definitely have to tip.
I gotta eat.
Exactly. She gotta eat, and the baby gotta eat.
The baby's gotta eat.
Yeah, the baby's gotta eat.
You for two, so it might have to be 30%.
Might have to be 30. I'm saying, so definitely, she's gonna have the Apple Pay set up. It's blessed. But leave a comment so we know that so that we know what you guys are thinking. Let us know if you're liking the cards. I'm really liking the cards so far. This is, I think, the third time we're running with it. We're gonna stick with like 1 or 2 cards, especially when it's me and Toast. But let us know how you're liking that segment as well. Make sure you're liking our leaving a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast, on the Spotify, thumbs up on the YouTube, leave us a subscribe. I mean, why wouldn't you? And just so you know that when the boys are on, hit the notification bell.
Yeah, I just want to say a quick thank you to Cayla for coming today. And a
quick thank you and shout out. Yeah. Go ahead.
Very, very special guest. And you are the first. My partner and I was like saying this. You're the first real guest,
like actual guest.
Yeah, that's not
like actual guest.
Family, like mutual friends of ours or like family. So we really appreciate you coming on. And
honestly,
it's been a blast having you.
It's been amazing.
You definitely got to come back.
Yeah,
you definitely got to come back.
And
for sure.
Yeah. And you dropped some crazy major gems.
So many gems. I'm telling you. That's why I was like, you leave us with advice if you want to. If not, it's fine because they can scroll back. They can scroll back and find something. But yeah, just like Lax said, thank you. It's been amazing. Loved having you on. Anywhere the people can find you if you want them to find. Do you want them to find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me.
Where can they find you at?
My Instagram handle is Cayla Bear 24.
Cayla Bear.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm really slow at replying to DMs. So
don't DM her anything.
Yeah, nothing inappropriate.
Yeah, keep that to yourself.
Or do I don't care.
That's
how you get instantly
part of therapy.
But if that's what you find therapeutic, who am I to judge?
Jeez.
Yeah, that or my Facebook, which is under Cayla Slavik, which is my married name. But
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Hope you guys join us for the next one. Again, notification bell so you guys know when we're on, and leave a comment. Leave a comment. That being said, Cayla, once again, thank you, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.